AMD's RX Vega specs have been revealed, a huge PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds update, and some Xbox One X Assassin's Creed news. We'll get into it in the breakdown. What's going on, people? It's your boy DaRealMastalin, and welcome to your daily dose. As always, before we get started, hit me with those 3 simple things. First one, dial in that overclock on that like button, hit it 1 time. Subscribe here for more, hit that notification bell so you get notified every single time I drop a video. Now let's break it down. First up, we got AMD RX Vega. It has finally been revealed for all to peruse upon, and it's looking alright, but the problem I have is they haven't exactly lived up to all they promised, but nonetheless, it's about to be out in a while. They said it's coming out sometime in August. They still haven't given a definitive date, but they said August, so it'll be sometime before the end of August. Threadripper comes out August 10th, and that is AMD's new high-end CPU platform, which that side of it, Threadripper and its competition on the Intel side, Threadripper got it just because it's cheaper and it provides more cores, and especially now that they've dialed in a lot of the Ryzen 7 stuff, you see a lot of these improvements with their base clocks and their interactions with RAM. So I think Threadripper is a good sweet spot, especially for high-end CPU users on that side. I'll personally pick up one just because I'm gonna update another workstation that I have. But Vega specs, they are in a competition with GTX 1070 and GTX 1080. To AMD's credit, they did say that the GTX 1080 and the RX Vega 64, which is the one that's supposed to compete with the 1080, will like go toe to toe, and sometimes they'll lose, sometimes they'll win. So they were upfront about the specs and how it's going to interact with the whole GPU dichotomy that's out there right now. But as of right now, there's 2 separate versions. There's the RX Vega 56, which has a base clock of 1156 megahertz, boost clock of 1471. It got 8 gigabytes of HBM2 memory and 410 gigabytes of memory bandwidth. So it's 10.5 teraflops, just quick 210 power consumption. So it's a good baseline range. It'll compete with the 1070, and it's $399, which is about the price of the 1070. The other version that they have is the RX Vega 64, which has a 1247 base clock, 1547 boost clock, also 8 gigs HBM2 memory, but it's 484 gigabytes memory bandwidth, and it's 12.66 teraflops. Also has a higher TDP, so it's a more in line with the 1080. But for the cheap FreeSync monitors that are out there, these are outstanding cards. The RX Vega 64 is $499, so it's right in line with a lot of the 1080s that are out there. You can get for around that price, maybe a little more. They also have a liquid cooled version of the RX Vega that's $100 more, and it's the same thing. It's just liquid cooled. It's the 64. That's the only one they have the liquid cooled version of. As of right now, they have like limited editions. They have a couple brushed aluminum, but for the most part, they're black and red. You'll get up more cards from different people as they start to make these cards. Right now, all the reference cards are black and red because that's the Radeon RX Vega theme, and that's you know, AMD's whole things black and red. So as more video card manufacturers start to make cards, you'll get a wider variety of cards and reference models. The ones from Radeon themselves look just like the 580s, more or less, except for they have the new chipset in them. They look kind of like the Fury X model, and I like the overall essence, but the whole black and red theme, like I'm not a fan of forcing color schemes. If I want this card, now I have to wait until someone makes a card that is aesthetically pleasing for my color scheme. If you're a real PC guy that is not just putting one in a closed case and you're all about the aesthetics, then you know what I mean. If you're not, then this conversation is lost on you. But like I said, the only problem I really have is that they didn't put out a competition version for the 1080 Ti, which I would have liked to seen if they would get one around, you know, $699, $650, somewhere in that range, that or even $599. Hell, if they can get one that was around that range, it would be a much better competition point for them. Right now, like, these cards compete and they're the same price. The problem is that everyone so far has had time to dial in the specs of all these games and all this different hardware for Nvidia cards, and it's going to be a hard transition because that's always been AMD's problem, is the ability to put out a driver that fixes whatever issues they have. That's the only real problem I see, is that they have this issue with the speed at which they put out drivers. But like I said, it's an interesting price point, and they said that the baseline performance for these cards are higher than its Nvidia counterparts, but that'll remain to be seen because it could just be blowing smoke. We'll see once these cards are out in a while. I'll let you know what I think. I'm going to be picking one up because I want to make a new reference system, but they haven't announced exactly when they'll be out, but I'll let you know when they are. Next up, we got PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. It's getting a humongous update as of today, and it features a whole bunch of other stuff, a lot of server optimization, and it also includes the first person only mode for NA and EU solo and duo game modes. So it'll have a lot of tweaks to it. It also adds the MK14 EBR into care packages, so it's sniper rifle, and it adds a couple new face presets and some hairstyles for character customization. The main thing that it adds is it adds controller support, so as Xbox controller support specifically. So in preparation for the Xbox One release of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, they have now added controller support, in which they said they will start continually updating the controller support to get better. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can read all the notes, but it looks like they're making a effort to start including the Xbox stuff, and it'll be interesting to see how well these controllers work natively, because you can play PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds with the controller, just requires some finagling, but now that it'll have native Xbox controller support, it'll be interesting to see how the controller people play against the non-controller people, because I know someone's gonna try it, and there are people who refuse to use keyboard and mouse just because it's not their cup of tea, but they really want to play PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. So it'll be interesting to see this shake up. And finally, we got an update for Assassin's Creed Origins on the Xbox One X. It's been widely speculated that it was going to run at a dynamic resolution and be upscaled, or checkerboard resolution or whatever, and be upscaled, because for some reason that is a thing. It's weird how people will go from Xbox needs to have exclusives to why isn't Xbox running this at 4K. It's very, very weird how they shift from those things like seamlessly. It's either you're worried about resolution or you're worried about the games, because it's never like they're worried about both. They always say it only to put down Xbox in one context or the other. It's just weird. I just thought I'd bring that up real quick. But in an interview with We Write Things, Julian Lafieri, the Assassin's Creed Origins producer, said that the Xbox One X will basically run the game at full 4K all the time. The way they set up Assassin's Creed Origins was to have a scaling resolution, and they said that the Xbox One X basically never downscales, so it'll run the game at 4K all the time because they have the dynamic resolution system in place for the other platforms, but the Xbox One X basically has the oomph to keep it above, or keep it at 4K for the entirety of the game. They said they hadn't had any issues where it was dropping down in resolution because of the power of the console. This will remain to be seen, like how it plays out in the real world, because them having a marketing deal with Xbox, you may or may not believe what it says, but it'll be a talking point, I'm sure, as this game comes out, rather than if the game is good, because people are weird these days. But if you really want to make this an issue, do your thing, I guess. Like I said, the producer of the game itself said that this is the case. If you want to argue against it, feel free to do so. That's all the news I got for today. Feel free to leave a comment or hit me up on Twitter at DaRealMastalin, or swing by the stream at mixer.com/DaRealMastalin. We chop it up in there all day long. So if you feeling so inclined, come on by. Also, quick bonus story, Titanfall 2 is on EA and Origin Access right now. So if you have EA and Origin Access, go download Titanfall 2. It's a fun game. And if you have it, adding it to the library ain't no thing. They've also getting rid of FIFA 14 if you care, but nobody does. As always, this is your boy Mastalin, always giving you the real. I love y'all like some play cousins. I'll holla at y'all tomorrow, and I'm out.